Have you ever introduced yourself at a party and, without thinking, you say, "I'm a doctor," or "I'm a manager at this company," like your job title is tattooed on your forehead? Imagine what would happen if tomorrow you lost that title. Who are you then? It's easy to think our job describes us, but what if your entire sense of self is just a role you play? Today, we're diving deep into the hidden dangers of an identity crisis and unveiling the surprising reality behind who you truly are. Before we go on, if you're passionate about shaking up your mindset, challenging old beliefs, and stepping into a more authentic, empowered version of yourself, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell. The Growth Mindset Project is here every week to spark your next breakthrough. Let's break open a taboo. Identity, it's everywhere. I'm this, you're that. Political parties, social groups, sports teams, we love labels. But there's one kind of identity almost nobody talks about: how deeply we merge what we do for a living with who we believe we are. You become a successful professional, not just because of your achievements, but because your self-image relies on it. When people ask who you are, do you floor them with your job status, hoping it impresses? That's your identity in action. But here's the shocking truth. When your whole life revolves around a role, you set yourself up for a serious identity crisis. Because whether you're crushing it as a CEO, teaching classrooms, saving lives, or coding late into the night, the party ends for everyone. Titles fade, roles expire, careers shift, sometimes abruptly. What's left when your identity is built on something so fragile? Let's get real. A lot of our drive, our ambition, even our workaholism is rooted in fear. We're not just afraid to fail at work. We're secretly terrified of losing who we think we are if our success disappears. That's an identity crisis, and it haunts people at every level. Maybe you see it in yourself. Climb the ladder long enough, and pretty soon, you notice the rungs are held together by this nervous dread. Who am I if I stop mattering at work? Interestingly, very few people fear death itself, but so many of us fear the death of our professional identity. Deep down, it's the existential question: if I'm no longer this high achiever, will anyone see me, respect me, even remember me? This fear shapes habits, ruins relationships, and corrodes happiness. And it feeds voices in your head that say, you're only as good as your most recent win. If you're nodding along, drop a like below and let me know in the comments if you've ever felt like your self-image was tied to your job. I want to hear your stories and reflections. Let's reframe how we look at this. In certain Buddhist traditions, there's a fascinating meditation practiced by monks called Maranasati, or death contemplation. At first, this might sound dark, but it actually brings peace and perspective. In monasteries across Asia, monks examine pictures of bodies in various stages of decay. Not to be morbid, but to stare mortality in the face, accept it, and break the illusion that clinging to life or ego keeps us safe. They look, stage by stage, and repeat, "That is me. That will be me." Now, what if you adapted this practice to your professional identity? Imagine deliberately reflecting on what it would be like if step by step, your grip on that role began to slip. It goes something like this. First, you sense you're losing your edge at work. Maybe your decision-making isn't razor sharp and you suspect people notice. Next, someone actually mentions it. Subtle, but there. Then, rumors swirl. People might be discussing your replacement. Soon, you realize you're being excluded from big decisions. The dread grows. The end of your career might be near. The next stage, you're officially told, time to retire or move on, even though you're not ready. At first, people gossip. Did you hear how he had to step down? You visit the office after 6 months. Most people don't recognize you. You move, start somewhere fresh, but now you're just a retired person. Eventually, most of the time, even you forget what it used to feel like to be defined by your job. You've moved on. That might sound depressing, but in reality, it's liberating. Sitting with each of these stages in your mind, 2 minutes at a time, over a few weeks, can fundamentally shift your relationship with your identity and your fear of losing it. Why? Because the power of fears often comes from pretending they're impossible. By exposing yourself in your imagination, you strip the terror away. You realize careers, just like everything else, have beginnings and endings. And that's not failure, it's life. The truth is, the more you hang on, the tighter you clutch an identity that isn't truly you, the unhappier you'll be. Roles shift, interests evolve, priorities change. No matter your field, your job is never the totality of your soul. When you allow yourself to mentally experience the end of your professional era, you'll find the courage to live more fully right now. Your value isn't in your job title, it's in how you show up for your life, for your family, your friends, your curiosity, and your growth. Take a second. If this is resonating and you haven't already, tap that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment. Your support lets us keep making deep, transformative content. Ask yourself, what are you doing today to cultivate an identity that's flexible, resilient, and authentic, instead of one that shatters the moment your job changes? Think of your life as a series of projects. Each project, each job, relationship, or hobby helps you grow, but none defines the core of who you are. The skills and passions that serve you now are tools, not shackles. When you see this, you become stronger, braver, and more at peace. That's what we're all searching for at the end, right? Not a fleeting sense of self-worth, but that deep, calm center, even as the outer world shifts. So as you build your life, don't just engineer professional good times. Learn to create new meaning, new adventures, under different conditions. You'll be amazed. Once you let go of the desperate need to be defined by what you do, you open the door to authentic relationships, fearless decision-making, and true happiness, no matter where you're at in your journey. And maybe that's the real secret to lasting peace. Not more success, but more self-acceptance. Not proving your worth to the world, but remembering you had it all along. The truth is, identity built on status or title is fragile, but identity built on values can weather anything. When your purpose becomes growth, kindness, creativity, curiosity, things no one can take away, you become untouchable. You could lose the job, the title, the applause, but you'd still be you. You'd still matter. So ask yourself, who are you beneath the role? Beneath the suit, the uniform, the paycheck, the business card, what's left? That's where the real work begins, and that's where freedom lives. If you want to go even deeper into this journey and continue exploring who you are beyond labels, keep watching our other videos right here on the Growth Mindset Project. Subscribe if you haven't already, ring that bell to stay connected, and remember, your job might end, your roles might change, but your growth never has to stop. You are more than what you do. You are who you become.